Okay, so I showed you this. Now this is the news story, right? So this is, the kid's name is Joshua Summaries. I told you, it's a summary of the book of Joshua. People that aren't biblically literate, doesn't mean you're stupid, it just means you haven't read it. You're not literate. So I'm going to inform you what the story is about with Joshua and why it's Joshua Summaries, how it ties into the Middle East and what's going on right now. So let's see what it is that Joshua did that he's best known for, and it's the Battle of Jericho. So let's look at that. Let's look at the story. The spying on Jericho. Before crossing the land into the west of the river Jordan, Joshua sent 2 spies to look over the land. The king of Jericho heard that 2 Israel spies were within the city and ordered them to be brought out to him. The spies were charged with asserting where the guards were placed, whether anyone disliked the king and could help them, what weaponry and armor the guards had, when the guards changed shift, and how much food, water, and supplies the cities had, and the height and the width of the walls, as to determine how to overcome the city. In other words, they were casing the joint. Now, there was a broad that lived in there, a whore, a bitch. The woman, this is the same broad throughout the Bible, the same one that Samson and Delilah. It's Delilah. It's all of these women, these bad seeds throughout the Bible. It's the same one. The woman whom the spies were staying with was named Rahab. She had protected them by hiding the 2 men on her roof. If you go read, you'll find out she was a whore. The Bible says she was. She tells them how the citizens of Jericho had been fearful of the Israelites ever since the defeat of the Egyptians via the Red Sea miracle some 40 years prior. Notice they, in parentheses, 40 years. And agrees to cover them on the condition that her family are spared in the upcoming battle. The spies agree and provide 3 conditions are met. Okay, so as long as she goes along with it, they'll spare her, the prostitute, but they're going to kill everybody else. She must distinguish her house from the others so the soldiers will know which one to spare. In other words, she's got to leave some type of a sign so they'll know not to kill anybody in that house. Her family must be inside the house during the battle. She must not later turn in the spies. This is really stupid, because when you go on to read the story, they totally decimated the city, killed everybody but the whore and her 2 kids, right? Who's she going to turn the spies into? What? So that tells me that the spies must have been working for the other side. Because if they were the spies for the Israelites, why would she turn the spies of the Israelites into the Israelites? They must have been spies that were affiliated with Jericho inside the city already. They didn't come from Israel, or they did, and they had been there for a while. Okay? Who's she going to turn them into? If they're Israeli and they killed everybody in the town and there's no authority to hand them over to, who are you going to hand them over to? So the spies must have really been people that lived in the town, not the story the way the Bible says, that they came and they snuck in and this broad hit them on the roof. Okay? Now, let's get into the twilight zone of this thing. So we know that he walked around it for I believe it was 6 days, and on the 7th day they blew the trumpets, everybody shouted, and the walls of Jericho came down. Remember that song? That song they had for years and years and years, when the walls come tumbling down. Yeah, by, was that Golden Earring or whatever? Well, that's what they're talking about. So that's the story. So we know that there was a famous battle that Joshua was known for, and that's part of the summary of Joshua. They're taking this and they're turning it around and calling it the summary, or Joshua's summaries. Okay, so now let's step into the twilight zone here. Now we're going to go over to Wikipedia and we're going to look up a guy named Perry Saturn. Okay, let's get over there. Here we go. Now, this gets so bizarre, yet it's all connected to this police story. You guys can read this on your own. I'll just pick out some stuff. Here's September, the flock. Usually when you think of the flock, you think of Christians. Raven, which is the messenger to Saturn. Here's Saturn's children. The enforcer. Saturn would win gold. We know gold, the golden age of Saturn. Disco Inferno. The disc are the rings around Saturn. Inferno is hell and World Television Championship. Let me take that out. Hang on one second. Let's see. He lost. Saturn began feuding with Glacier. So we got the melting of the glaciers, right? Saturn used his super kick, offended Glacier. Here's Van Hammer. Now you get the Nazi shit in here. Okay, the loser leaves the flock. Raven opted to throw the hammer out of the flock. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, September 13th, Fall Brawl. If Saturn won, the flock would be freed, but if Raven won, Saturn would become his slave. You read all this on your own, but I'm just pointing out some stuff. Here's Lodi, which is really Loki in the Nordic. This is he lost, I guess, here. Okay, then here, Saturn could hurt those he wants to free so badly. Saturn would not break his agreement with Lodi because of personal code of honor. This stuff is just, it's the same story. He tried to goad Saturn into breaking his word. Okay, you see how this is all, it's got all a biblical tone to it. Flock, Saturn, Raven, it's got Christian to the flock. You know, it's got this occultic Christian. Who wrote this? I have no idea. Now look at this. Saturn, I want to end up feuding with Eddie Guerrero, okay? With Chris Jericho. So now we're back here. See? There's Jericho. So now Saturn's feuding with Jericho. After Jericho Saturn a number of matches with the help of a crooked, he mocked Saturn's complaints and accused him of crying like a schoolgirl. Okay, this led Jericho challenging Saturn to a loser wears a dress for 90 days. So now we're talking androgyny and we're talking 9. Okay, match at sold out January 17th at sold out. Okay, this Saturn wearing a variety of dresses to ring using a variation of Marilyn Manson's The Beautiful People. Saturn moved to the hardcore division. Crash Holly. A triple threat. There's your 3. Judgment Day. With the assistance of China. So we got Judgment Day, European Championship with the assistance of China. Okay, and that's just a repeat from an earlier clip. But I'm just telling you, see how that's tied into that police story? You see how all this makes a big ass circle? So here's something from the news from a couple days ago. Here's a story from the Old Testament, which is thousands of years old. And here's something from the 90s. Okay? And so we got Jericho here, we got Jericho there, and we got Joshua over there. You see, there's something really funky going on here, but all this is tied together. Just thought I'd share that with you. Yes, believe me, I get this stuff screws with my head too.